Hello everyone and welcome to the second semi-final of Grand Prix Malmo 2012 with Nate Price and your host Rich Hagan here, getting ready to rock and roll with the mid-range of Søren Larsen. He has come out of a titanic battle with Jasper Grimmer in the quarterfinals. There you see Søren Larsen. He was 12 when this match started in the quarterfinals, and now you see him at 23-24. Meanwhile, our own Frank Carsten is watching Oscar Almgren with the first play of the game. Oscar Almgren got through with black-red aggro, so he will be the aggressor pretty much throughout this match, we think, and Larsen will be looking to stabilise and then grind his way to victory. So, Nate, who do you favour?
It's tough to say. Like, after watching Søren's deck play in the last round, I think it's safe to call him control instead of calling him mid-range at this point. He is definitely a control deck.
Yeah.
He's got all the tools required to slow down Oscar, but Oscar's got some interesting cards that could provide a little wrinkle for this defense plan that Søren has in play. He's got some creatures with Intimidate, he's got some creatures that can grow to obscene sizes, and he has a card drawing engine to, shall we say, mirror the card drawing engine that Larsen has in his own deck. He's got a Harvester of Souls, where Larsen has a Soul of the Harvest. Did I do that right?
Yeah, you did.
This is the problem that Oscar has. He's now reaching turn 3, and he's passing. That right there sent a big heave into Søren Larsen's court. Like, he now...
And Larsen's already up a card with the Abundant Growth.
Yeah. Must be nice to play a 39 card limited deck.
People do that all the time, apparently.
Yeah.
Doesn't tend to end well, though.
No.
Devout Chaplain. Arrives for Larsen.
He's not going to find too many targets for his ability. But,
yeah, exile target artifact or enchantment once you tap 2 untapped humans you control. Oh, and this. Clunky. That's what that word's for. Clunky.
I mean, he's a Grey Ogre. I like Grey Ogres when I'm playing against aggressive decks. They block and they kill things.
Sure.
Cool.
And there's the Heirs of Stromkirk.
Does that 2/2 block that 2/2?
No.
No. So much for Grey Ogres blocking creatures and killing.
Yeah, they're not very good.
Yeah, this is one of the cards that, when I was mentioning cards that can seriously swing things in Oscar's favor, despite the slow start, a 2/2 Intimidate creature that grows every opportunity it gets is something that's going to be able to slip past Søren's defenses.
Prediction time, no block. Oh, spot on.
Well done.
Yeah.
You've played this game before,
It's,
haven't you?
well, a little.
Okay. Drafts after hours at the JSS.
JSS. I was too old for the JSS when the JSS began.
That's my point.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
And now we have an interesting snowball effect on the opposite side. As the 2 points of life a turn, I get the 4-point life swing that that's going to create, going to be able to offset the slow snowball that the heirs create.
How many cards? 5.
Oscar, he's put himself in a worse spot than he'd like to be in, although admittedly with that Seraph coming down, a lot of his early aggression would be stemmed at this point. He can just kind of hope that he might have been able to get in for an extra 4 points of damage or so by the time we reach this point. That's the reason. I mean, if I'm not mistaken, Frank had the Seraph as his number 1 common in the set, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And it's because of its just sheer ability to shut down opposing strategies. But, it shuts it down pretty quickly when your opponent is tapped out especially. Deathwind will kill it. That is one of the 2 spells in Almgren's deck.
Okay.
Used to great effect. Alright.
So Larsen sends in.
No reason not to. And what are we going to be adding to the side? We're at 6 or 5 mana. It always gets me with that abundance.
It looks, the thing is, it just looks like the top of a forest artwork.
Yeah.
And if you can't quite see the mana symbol, you just assume, oh yeah, a couple of forests, da-da-da. And that is a clock. I mean, you can't tell the time with it. What time is it? Swamp Walk time.
Yeah. You've got your unblockable creature. How about I have mine? Let's go.
Well, Oscar's gets bigger.
Details. Minor
No. No, not actually.
details. No, not actually at all. I guess
Two.
the difference is that Soren does have some life gain, although some of it is currently staring at him from his graveyard.
In his graveyard.
And unfortunately, now that it's up to a 4/4, a lot of the removal that Soren has for it is gone. He's got a defang, which I'm sure he would love to see.
That's Haven Gull Vampire. Up next. Anytime something dies, it gets bigger.
Not too shabby when you've got a couple of Bloodflow Connoisseurs, some Crypt Creepers, and a Corpse Trader in your deck.
And Soren looks like he's going to offer the trade with his Devout Chaplain.
Methinks Oscar might decline.
Wow, Shakespeare.
You know, if I'd said methinks that Oscar might decline, that would have been perfect iambic pentameter.
Oh. The famous
No.
grammar detective.
Yeah. Octameter, my mistake.
The pentameter.
3 cards.
And there's an Angelic Wall. Well, that is at least going to stop 1/2/2 from getting through. Unfortunately, 4/4 becomes 5/5 fairly soon. So,
And continues to be intimidatory.
yeah, we see a handful of cards from Oscar there. It's looking, one of those black cards looks incredibly familiar. It looks like
7 mana now for Oscar.
I know that he's got at least one Driver of the Dead in his hand. I definitely thought I saw a card that looked like Dreadslaver, but I know he doesn't have that in his deck, so it's got to be something else.
Yes.
Oh man, Turbo Speed. I love that guy so much.
Yeah.
And
We're going to see a little instant speed. Ooh.
ooh, and my 2/3 does double duty.
Wow, that's nice.
There is Cloud Shift. Use this removal.
That is nice play. We like that.
I like it. Unfortunately, he still takes 6 here and now has a 5/5 to stare down while
Yeah,
he's
sure.
down to 9 life. Still, sexy play.
Yes.
Poker 2.
Was it the Geist?
That is a mental agony, isn't it?
Oh yeah, that's what it is.
So discard 2 and lose 2 life. Now the discard 2 turned out to be a plains and an island. That was the last 2 cards.
The 2 life turned out to be, well, 2 life.
So, in we go. Try and keep the race going.
Yeah. And it's looking right now like this game has been, it effectively has come down to the fact that Almgren got to swing and connect one time with that Heirs of Stromkirk. They are the cards to watch in this matchup. Those and the Bloodflow Connoisseurs are going to be what really pushes this over the edge.
He does indeed have Driver of the Dead. He's drawn into Hound of Grizzlebrand.
Another card that's difficult actually for Soren's deck to deal with.
2 double strike Undying. 4th counter goes on to the heirs, for they shall inherit the finals. Potentially.
For they shall inherit the first game of the semifinals.
Well,
potentially.
that seems likely.
As we've learned, you can't ever tell when the end of a game of Magic is going to be. So,
So 8 plays 2. Back we go to Larsen. Top of the deck. Have a look. He's got 2 cards. He drew a spell.
I'm not sure what that spell could be. There's definitely, you know,
And he says, yep, you got me. So Oscar Almgren takes the lead. 1-0.
Heirs of Stromkirk is a very powerful card, especially when you. I mean, the biggest downside that it's got is it's a 4-mana creature, and when your opponent isn't putting any pressure on you, the ability to get to 4 mana like unmolested is like very, very high. It is very, very favorable for him.
Yeah, and it was interesting there because we talked at the start of that game how Oscar passing early seemed a favourable situation from the other side of the table, but the reality is that it's at 4 that Oscar, in a sense, it's really appetizer.
Yeah.
What comes down at 2, and if you can happen 2 and 3, and if you can happen to put your opponent down to 16, 15, get something out of the way, 13. That's fine and lovely, but actually, certainly what we saw there, it was all about the 4.
Certainly.
And it would have continued to be all about the 4 with Hound of Griselbrand due up next. And that's where Oscar really starts to motor.
It's interesting, like, not to sound like I'm taking back what I had said previously, but the more I look at Oscar's deck, the more cards that I find that just seem problematic for the way that Soren's deck is set up to stop the aggressive decks.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the 2 copies of Bloodflow Connoisseur, we knew were going to be big. The 2 copies of Erza Stromberg, we knew were going to be big, and proved that they were going to be right there. Hound of Griselbrand seems very good against his deck. They just dominate combat and then come back to dominate combat even further. But something I hadn't noticed before was the pair of Searchlight Geists in his deck and how impressive they are against the Angelic Walls that are a primary source of Soren's defense.
I mean, yes, I maybe impressive's a little, pushing it a little far in that I do accept that they eventually kill them, but at the cost of an entire turn.
Fair, but
Pretty much always. I mean, obviously, we've seen some games where people have had more than 6 mana in play in this top 8, but
yeah, you're definitely right.
you know, I mean, Soren. Yes, Soren would rather they were there for 15 turns than 3 turns, but there is very definitely a significant cost to Oscar doing that.
Think of it from this perspective, though.
Okay.
Consider the amount of damage that a single Angelic Wall that sits out for that many of turns is going to save.
Sure.
Even spending a single turn to remove it and allow you to put, like, at least the potential to push through the additional damage, it's a turn that I'm fairly certain that Oscar is going to be more than happy to spend, just for his own future production.
Sure.
Again, every turn you give Larsen is another turn he has to, possibly set something up. And considering we know he's got multiple, like, a single Righteous Blow, and I guess that's really his only instant speed removal spell. So the Zealous Strikes aren't going to be there.
That says a lot.
Actually, no, the Zealous Strike does work too. So he's got multiple spells that are able to, I guess, take care of them. My. Almgren also. See Soren Larsen. Very easy if he was acceptable, I would say, if he was a little tired after his quarterfinals efforts. A very, very long quarterfinals match.
Yeah. Some pretty reasonable history for Larsens in Magic, just not Soren yet. You've got the likes of Matt Larsen from the United States, who made the top 8 of Grand Prix Columbus in 2004. You have David Larsen of Sweden, different spelling again to this one, who won Grand Prix Copenhagen 2008, made the top 8 of Pro Tour London 2005. You have, of course, Sweden's Joel Larsen, who has 3 Grand Prix top 8s to his name, Prague and Pittsburgh in 2011. Recently in Manchester, he finished 3rd in 2012. And got a top 16 finish, Pro Tour Nagoya last year. And then you have this Larsen, which is Larsen. So currently, yep, that's 4 different Larsen spellings for you from only 3 different countries. Sorry to disappoint there. So Denmark, Sweden, and the United States. So that's the Larsens in Magic.
It's a wonderful little history. Unfortunately for this Larsen, he is looking to go down to 6 cards right now. His initial draw appeared to only have 1 land, and that will probably not cut it. Aggressively mulliganing. Mulligans are probably, other than the last 4 or 5 cards in the sealed deck, the thing that more Magic players screw up, or at least just have a less of an understanding of than they necessarily should. They don't mulligan enough. They don't. Like, it's a question of, I guess, experience and evaluation of these things. Like, the more hands you see, you'll find pros all the time. Martin Juza, during his, impressive stretch of the past couple years, has always been a large proponent of incredibly aggressive mulliganing.
Explain aggressive in terms of mulliganing.
Oh, man. Larsen's going down to 5 right now, as I said. Aggressive mulliganing is just it's taking a look at your opening hand, and rather than waffling about whether or not this, like, you have hands that can potentially be good. And there are situations when you're facing a match, like I saw the situation in the top 8 of Barcelona, where if you've got a card that is just absolutely dire in your matchup, as the Geist of Saint Trap was in I think it was John's quarterfinal match, that was his final game.
Okay.
Those are hands that you can't necessarily throw back because it's an imperative card. But a lot of other hands don't have that imperative card and are still like on the fence as to whether or not you can keep them. They're going to require a little bit of work to get better, and a little bit of work to compare. And a lot of times, players will look at those hands and go, "Well, I can keep this if these, X and Y come true over the next few turns." And he's a much bigger fan of simply going for the mulligan. Like it is more likely in his mind you will get a 6-card hand, especially if your deck is quality. You'll get a 6-card hand that is capable of providing you a better start than your 7-card hand that needs a little bit of help.
Okay.
That's the meaning of aggressive mulligan. Taking those hands and always mulligan, just going and not thinking about it.
Oh, okay. That's a relief. He reached for his deck, and I thought, please don't do that.
We see that Almgren is on 3 lands. Oh, now he's on 4. The perfect 2 and 2.
Larsen draws. Has a second land.
There's a 3rd land, apparently.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a nice draw of a 2-drop there from Oscar.
So we're going to see a Crypt Creeper.
I would believe so, yeah.
I've actually managed not to mangle that card name once.
Good job.
Yeah.
It is a reprint, so you should have had at least a little bit of experience under your belt.
Really?
At least saying it.
Okay.
It was a good one, too. It's been a good 2-drop in 2 different limited formats.
First one being
Odyssey Lock.
Borderland Ranger. So, on one level, unmulliganing himself, at least in part.
Yeah. And fixing his mana, grabbing him his 3rd color. It is his splash color, but at the same time, getting that island out is very important. I'm actually curious. I wonder if he has that island in his hand. Or that island has one of his vanguards in his hand.
Mm-hmm.
That would, again, help him unmulligan himself. Doesn't look like he does, but better prepared. Well, that's definitely a Harvester of Souls in Almgren's hand as well. As we mentioned earlier, another big thing the Borderland Ranger does, it gets in that land, effectively helps him on mulligan, and then against an aggressive deck like this, he gets to trade if he wants to. Opts not to this time. And Oscar's 3-drop of choice is the
Soul Cage Fiend. Wahaha.
Consider yourself at 15, sir.
I thought you were launching into Oliver there. Consider yourself at home? What?
No.
Consider yourself at 15. It's not as catchy.
No, that's why they don't let me into the booth very often. I'm not very good at the catchies.
Okay. Seraph of Dawn.
Now that card, last time we saw that card hit play, it was immediately hit with a Deathwind. I don't think that's happening this time, especially because it's
It'll be a pretty miserable Deathwind if it is.
mathematically difficult to do the way he wants to. Yeah, Deathwind for 3, thanks. I said thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. Oh man, and there we see the Heirs of Stormkirk. Card really just took over the last game. But we did see Oscar's life total started to dip some too. Like if Larsen's life-linking flyer managed to stick around for a little while longer, things might have been reversed in the last game. Well, let's see. What is Soren going to pull out of his hat right now? Carefully contemplating whether he wants to get in for 2. That Seraph was one of the big reasons that Oscar left all of his team home last turn. So, carefully contemplating whether it's worth sending it in to be forced to make a trade next turn. He's clearly deciding that it is. I like that play.
So the life totals will reverse.
How many cards?
And then passes the turn to Oscar. So it looks, as of right now, like that Ayers the Stromkirk is going to get in for 2. Now, do you drop your... Is Harvester of Souls a 6 drop or a 5 drop?
6.
Yeah, an actual perfect mirror. That's pretty sweet.
Oh, am I lying?
No, you're
I
right.
just-
No, it was just... It's the only difference. Like, it's a 5/5 instead of being 6/6. So that's the one difference. Makes sense. Green creatures are bigger. Sure. So there's the trade, which is going to... Oh wow. And we are officially back up to 7 cards, sir. Only down 1 for being on the fly.
Oh, no. Oh, and that's 5. Yeah, that's right.
Okay. So,
Curious as to what's going on now.
just declared attackers?
Yeah,
We have not resolved damage as of yet? Is that correct?
that's correct, yeah.
Okay. And so, these...
Yes, they seem to have stopped. And that finger on the top of the table, that's probably a judge getting involved.
Oh, because he played the
Yeah, you
Harvester
see,
for 5.
he
We actually
did only have 5
specifically,
mana.
yeah.
I thought maybe there was another swamp lurking underneath.
I didn't even pay attention to that because I was looking in the book to confirm
Well, no,
that it
I
was
mean,
a 6 drop that we've been saying.
I just assumed that top swamp
was
had
done.
another swamp just behind it because it looks like it's raised.
Yep.
And it's just like a slightly uneven thing on the table.
Interesting. Well, that's unfortunate because now players progress to the point when...
the cloud shift is known.
Yeah. Wow, that's...
Ew.
That is rough. But then again, I guess at that point, I mean, it's also on Soren to know that it's a 6 trap. Maybe he knew and didn't do anything about it because, I mean, we knew. We still somehow, well, I knew, somehow thought it was okay for it to be in play. But that changes things drastically. And not in a way I think that's favorable for Soren. I mean, it's favorable he no longer has to face down the Harvester right now, but... Alright.
Same procedure.
Let's pretend none of this ever happened.
Sure.
Goes and fetches out a 6th land.
So you see Soren reach for a pen, so we'll see Soren mark off his life.
That was Oscar.
Oh, it wasn't.
I know. Yes, we will. Good job.
Well acted though.
Good job.
Almgren for Driver of the Dead. And Soren, it's getting late, wants to have a check. Nothing wrong with that. Never a reason to not read opposing cards, especially early in a format.
Yeah. I mean, he can always just whip the trigger on the stack, sacrifice his Crypt Creeper, get rid of that, bring it back into play, and have an untapped 2 for him. If he so chose to. Oh, it's when he dies. That's right. This one's the death trigger, not the comes into play trigger. So, as you said, it's getting late.
So Larsen really looking in trouble here.
This is an interesting attack. This is an interesting block.
4 damage.
So Soren can't get that done fast enough.
4
Yeah.
damage.
Oh, please 4 damage. Okay, yep.
The block has occurred. He's got to make sure that's in his graveyard before the death trigger hits the stack, and it'll hit the stack as soon as, I mean, there's no target for the ability.
Okay.
When the creature dies, the ability is
Okay.
actually on the stack, so he's got to make sure that happens in order to get it.
Yeah.
I take 2. You get 2.
It's interesting, trading 3 power for 2 power and removing a card that doesn't really matter from the graveyard, but I guess he knew something big was coming.
Oh,
so-
there it is.
Oh man, oh they're gonna both be on the table at the same time. Oh my goodness, this
It'll
is
be
a problem.
fine. It'll be fine.
All right, I'll trust you. I'll trust
On
you.
the right,
Hold my
Soul
hand.
of the Harvest. On the left, Harvester of Souls.
Well, not yet.
If he gets to 6 mana, and he hasn't again, you may never see them in play together.
You could always try playing it for 5. Worked last time.
3 cards.
They might catch it this time.
Surprised they're not a double face card, really.
This reminds me of an Ame's one in an Ame life aspect.
Ah, sure, yeah.
Yeah. They're even green and black.
42.
Mind rot you. Take 2.
Mental agony.
Oh, what is that card in his hand? He's been shuffling and holding on to.
And let's have a look. Oh, it's the Joint Assault.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Now, things are going to start to get interesting. Top of the deck does, in fact, with a flourish there. That's a little flip
Yes.
there. Soren gets lively when he starts
Yeah.
like feeling good.
Uh-huh.
I like that. So we have a Grey Ogre that also draws a card, Rager.
And looks like he's drawn into an angelic wall.
So Flying Wall of Blossoms. Gonna make as many references to
I
old
gotta
cards
say,
as I possibly
go
can.
on, you go with the historic analysis.
I am a mental magic professional, so every card that draws a card in Magic is tucked away in his brain somewhere.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
That'll be a nice segment at some point.
it could be. That'd actually be a really fun gift for the Rich Hagen MT Magic Game Show.
Oh my god. Right.
So the big attack comes in. Soren doesn't know exactly what's in Oscar's deck, so he doesn't know exactly. I guess Pillar of Fire or Pillar of Flame. It's a sorcery, right?
Yeah.
So
But the thing is, basically, you have to not care if you're Soren. We're beyond that point.
oh, good point.
We're at the stage where he's looking at that dice with 2 counters on it and going, yeah, okay, that's pretty awkward.
Yeah.
I think I better try and beat you. There is no. Now, I wonder what you might be having.
No gray area. No holding back to try to get an engine going either. You're right. This is make your life
just-
total 0.
Yeah. And right now, he's on the way. Almgren down to 8.
Oh man.
That Soul Cage Fiend is now starting to look like a little bit of a liability towards Oscar, because now maybe he won't want to lose 3. Here comes Harvester of Souls, which amazingly Soren suspected was there.
Yeah. So you guys can both cross off the 1 card in each other's hands that you knew.
In we go, 4/4. 3 counters now on the heirs. They inherited game 1. Are they going to inherit the final? Let's see. As
So, this point. Yeah, you're definitely still swinging with that guy. No reason not to. That'll drop him to, well, I guess I'll drop him to 5. He might wait a turn. Might be better off next turn. You don't want him to just draw. You don't want Oscar to draw multiple cards on this turn, potentially find something that could take it when you can seal it on the later date.
Nightshade Peddler. Now this is potentially a big moment,
Pair up your 2/2.
because yeah, you see, he's going with
Cool.
put it on the Soul of the Harvest.
Soul of the Harvest is going to kill things anyway.
I feel that we may have said something similar.
Oh man, I am having deja vu. I remember that.
Okay.
Yogi Berra. It's like deja vu all over again.
Yogi Bear has some of the best quotes. Love him so much.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Larsen trying to force game 3. Matteo Vasari of Italy awaits the winner. Thraben Valiant. I'll draw another card. More action. Looks like he might have a Griff Vanguard.
Well, Tommy's Acolyte, 2/1, draw a card when it comes into play.
Oh, will you stop? Seraph of Dawn goes in
Yeah,
alone.
definitely the right attack on this turn. Next turn, you just
Oscar 6,
turn sideways.
Larsen 13.
And then you're right. That Fiend is going to become a significant liability on the following turn. And we also know that Oscar's got 2 spells to his name, and 1 of them has been played.
And somehow, we've ended up with 11 creatures on, 10 creatures in play. Here we go again.
Yeah. I think we've learned to expect that from happening. Soren's deck tends to gravitate towards that, and Oscar's deck is all creatures, so. Oh, man.
Any cards?
1.
See, this board state is actually a little bit more complicated than the one we saw with more creatures on it earlier, because this is one of the situations where every creature on the table actually has an impact on the game, considering life totals and considering the cards that are in play.
Yep. And card draw coming
Yeah.
on both ends.
And Almgren is going to have to seriously think about what he wants to do. I mean, we talked about it earlier. Like he has just a ridiculous amount of composure, and I mean it shows that he has played at the Pro Tour before. And his finishes were not like tremendous, but playing there still says a
The
lot.
experience is just crazy.
Yeah,
It's just so good. It's one of the reasons I have such admiration for Josh Cho, making the top 8 at his first Pro Tour.
Yeah.
Just crazy. But
all smiles
in
all
we
the way
go.
to-
4 counters now.
Larsen is dropped to 8.
6 plays 8. Searchlight Geist. 2 more mana. Is this a Cruin Striker?
It is.
There we go.
Oh man,
Shields up. Sword off. 12
This-
creatures in play.
this is gonna be a fun attack. Okay.
Now we know Joint Assault's already gone. That was the victim of mental agony earlier in this game.
So we can effectively assume that Larsen's going to be at 10 after this. He's going to be gaining 2 from his Seraph attacking. Can there be blocks put in such a way? And I really wish that, for Soren's sake, that he had paired up that Nightshade Peddler with his Chaplain. Would have made. I guess it doesn't really matter all that much. Chaplain just kills everything that blocks it except for the Harvester anyway. Alright, so he's up to 10. Almgren's down to 4.
So it was a Griff Vanguard we saw last turn go into hand for Larsen. That means he gets 2 draws out of it. Wow.
Nobody heard that.
No, I'm sure not.
And a defang.
Oh, wow.
Answer we said he was looking for last
Yes. Yes.
game. And that is
Pass the turn.
likely a death knell.
Could be heading for game 3. So the top of the deck. Well,
And he
nothing
still-
miraculous about a mountain.
He still has options. Oh my. Yeah, were that a blood flow? Sorry, not a blood flow connoisseur. I was gonna say blood artist, but he doesn't have a blood artist. The blood flow connoisseur is thinking of. Now this looks like it is the end. All but the motions. Almgren is still going to take his time, think about it. I mean, you don't get to the semifinals of a Grand Prix and not make sure that your opponent actually kills you.
And only part of that is a function of being very good at Magic. Part of that's about, you realise I've spent 2 entire days of my life playing Magic in order to play this turn correctly.
Yes.
So let's.
Okay. Okay.
Empties his hand, passes. Larsen, to give him his due, is actually playing pretty crisply and has throughout the top 8. He just happens to be playing a very lengthy deck.
Yeah, agreed.
He's been very crisp in his, these are going to attack, in, off we go. And now.
Oscar definitely gave him the Neo Kung Fu move, just the come hither hand
Oh, okay.
on the last turn.
Yeah.
Passed it. Said, what do you have? Do your worst.
So, what do we see?
I see a Griff Vanguard attacking.
Okay.
Smart. Soren realizes he doesn't have any cards in hand, doesn't have as much to fear, and doesn't want to lose his.
So there's straight up trade. There's no need for the whole death touch thing.
Yeah.
But Harvester of Souls will harvest 2 souls and give Oscar 2 cards.
I suppose it's only fair that.
They are both spells. Or, when I say spells, I mean they are both not land.
Correct.
Larsen then says, "Oh, Cathar's Crusade."
Somebody's
And
here.
go.
Oh man.
So, Oscar, can you find a way out? 10 life points in the way?
Oscar, do you have a way out? You see Soren like
That's a swamp you have just drawn. He's got 6 creatures, one of which is the defanged heirs of Stromkirk. Now that's a marriage of flavour in gameplay right there.
No joke. Guess all we can really do is give him a sword and send him off to train Cathars in the field. Yeah. I mean, it's looking dire at this point. So I don't know. I don't know if there was a moment when things would have worked out better. It would have required some combination of like Bloodflow Connoisseur and Undead Executioner. But
Scalding Devil, which Soren looks anxiously over at, but it's not like single mana activation or anything even remotely like it. I believe it's 3 for the activation.
I believe so,
How
yeah.
did he discuss that with 2 swamps?
Yep, 2 and a red, deals 1 damage to target player. So he only has enough to currently activate that
Yeah.
twice.
High level magic.
Go ahead.
Oscar passes. And Larsen, I have a feeling, is going to push us to a game 3.
I have a feeling that you are correct.
3 mana. 4 Farbog Explorer.
I will gladly pay 3 mana for a 3/4 Swamp Walker that gives all of my other creatures +1/+1 counters when I come to play.
Yeah, and can I draw a card as well?
Is it okay if I draw
I do like that
card?
Oscar picked up
I
the
mean,
dice as though like it was going to be reasonable to
The counter
counter one of those
Pokemon,
creatures.
and
when
I draw
I'm
back
pretty
to-
sure the conversation that went on was, can we just say they've all got a counter and let's have
I mean,
fun?
just
Sure, my creature statements.
And let's have fun. Awesome.
Yep.
Oh my. You know, technically, if Soren wanted to have a little bit of extra fun in this game, I think he's got enough humans in play now that he could use his chaplain to remove his own defang. I mean, just a thought, like, could extend the game a
As
little
Oscar
longer.
goes to sweep up his permanents,
Yeah.
respond to your concession.
Right? He could also kill his own crusade. So
Trigger?
Yeah. Responsible.
I don't think he will.
no,
Wait,
I'm just looking for plays. Sorry.
Oh, sure.
And
I'm trying to
and
find,
this
you know,
is
ways
also-
for Oscar to reasonably.
I want to respond to the
You
this
can
trigger.
stop
Yeah.
now.
No.
But I put this on first.
All right.
Glad I have your
And
lead.
draw a card.
Two cards for Larsen. He's got Almgren down to 4. Crypt Creeper
Yep.
Draw a card.
does a bit of exiling.
Resolve the trigger.
And now, in we go.
Trigger. I think it's
Oh yeah.
Okay.
yeah.
And there we go. It's 1-1. 563 permanents will leave the battlefield,
Yep.
and we'll get ready for game 3.
And again, like in something that was foreshadowed slightly by the way the first game went, that ended up being a game that came down to the heirs of Stromkirk versus versus the Seraph of Dawn from Soren. In this situation, the Seraph of Dawn stayed considerably longer, got in for more damage, and didn't get defanged like the heirs of Stromkirk did. Again, like you said, that wonderful marriage of flavor and mechanics.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, despite the fact that Oscar found one of the cards that is very, very important to him in this matchup, Soren found an answer to that card. And
Yep.
that went back the other direction.
Made the threat toothless.
Yep.
That was enough. Matteo Vasari still waits for one of these two.
Would not surprise me the slightest to catch him rather than actually watching what's going on with a little pillow in a corner.
Uh-huh.
I'm actually really interested to see, like, eager to see Versari's deck in action too, because I watched him draft it, and I would very much love to see him, you know, do something cool. We've seen enough cool little tricks from both of these guys. Actually, this is actually the more straightforward of the matches that we've seen so far. It's a play my guys and attack you dead matchup on both sides. Even when it came down to, you know, that long cluttered board state, it was still turn my guys sideways. It wasn't tricks.
Wait. Sorry, I just got distracted for a few seconds there with something else going on in the arena. Was there a table under all those cards? I did not twig that.
I'm pretty sure that's just fossilized magic cards that were left from the previous quarterfinals match.
Oh, from the Paleozoic era?
Yes.
Paleolithic? Paleozoic?
Paleozoic.
Is that right?
Oh no, it's Paleozoic.
I'm safer with Jurassic, but I don't sound as smart if I'm right about Paleozoic.
But you
Or
will-
as stupid if I'm wrong.
Nah, it's the...
Oh, there's the gamble.
double-edged.
Oh,
Oh,
the double-edged
How about that?
sword.
yeah. How about the... What was that? The 5 power, like the 5/5 from
Oh,
Paleolithic?
no, now we're reaching. So here we go, hopefully, because to be fair, Soren has had an awful lot of mana difficulties throughout his quarter and his semi. It's been a while since he just kept 7, but I'm glad to say that is what both players have done. We always like it when you get a proper game in the decider.
Oscar has the possibility of an incredibly fast start with his opening draws.
Does he?
Yeah, he has a lightning mauler that I've seen at least in his hand. Is that a Kessig Malcontent to follow it up on turn 3?
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna
That
be.
is the lightning mauler that you've previously mentioned.
If there isn't something on Soren's turn right here, like an angelic wall, I think this next turn
I
is
was
going
going
to
to
be
say,
a shot for
like a
7.
plains and an angelic wall.
Yeah,
There's the plains, but no, just pass. Okay.
this should be a shot for 7. That is
Land number 3.
a hefty life swing here.
Taps 3. Yep, you've drawn it right up. The malcontents. They are not best pleased.
Yeah.
They're so angry, they're being quick about it.
Shocking.
In.
It's like,
Smash.
Oh yeah, sure.
I'm a massive fan
that
of
is
lightning
fine.
mauler. That card is just
Yeah,
absurd.
I can see that. I think absurd, stretching it a little.
In draft, I don't think so.
Okay.
Like, 2-drops are so important in this format.
Yes,
2
agreed.
drops that give your 3 drops haste are just nuts.
Okay,
It's really good with the Henry Lancer too. Like,
sure. Larsen has passed on 3 as well.
this may be,
Functionally, the last turn of the semi-final.
yeah.
Because if this is a good turn, if it does more than bash and there was no righteous blow to come in and save the day.
Yeah, this shade is going
4 mana. What comes next? Is it Everlasting Shade?
to... Evernight Shade.
Evernight
seal.
Shade, yep.
You'll see, he's probably going to seal the deal here. I mean, Soren's probably got, does he have a Seraph here drop?
I mean, Soren's at 8.
Like, Seraph provides a little bit more time because only the...
It looks like it's mid-vast protector.
Okay. Well, I mean, that's
So he
still-
blocks something and then takes 1, 2, 3, potentially takes 6
Yeah.
with a trade off the malcontents.
I-
So he'd be at 2 facing an undying Evernight Shade with the ability to pump to 4 and still one of the other 2 creatures. That's if Oscar can't seal it right here.
Yeah.
Land number 5 spreads them out.
An even bigger problem with this. as
Super
well.
threatening.
I mean, even if he blocks here, like he would ideally like to block the 2/1 and let the others through. That way he can keep his blocker back. But
just-
if he, it's a problem to let him
He
do
can
that.
only kill the malcontents, right?
Yeah, I mean at this point.
That's his only play.
At this point, yes. I mean, he's dead on board if he doesn't do that, since he has a 4th one in play. I don't even know if it's gonna get that far. Is he gonna get to blocks? He's just gonna get speed.
Oh,
wanna do that
look
after
at
this
that.
game.
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry. That's the face of a man who can see the end of the line.
Yep.
He had an incredible run, but I'd like to pump,
I have no mana. Yeah.
and I'd like to... There we go.
Oh, cool.
Unpaired. More impossible to deal with-ness. It's Driver of the Dead.
That's not gonna get paired up.
What?
No.
No need.
Soren Your last draw of the Grand Prix is not sufficient.
I wonder how much of Soren's keep came down to the fact that he hadn't seen this speed at Oscar's deck. It had been like kind of slow and plodding, coming down on 3 and 4, like not realizing he had the capability of playing. I mean, he saw Crypt Creeper. That's about it. This draw's a very good draw.
He hasn't absolutely swept up his permanent, so does he feel that he has something he can do? Let's see. 5 mana available. 2 of them gets him Thraben Valiant. That's a chump block for the Evernight Shade. That still leaves him dead.
Yep.
He's going to pass the turn representing things various.
And unfortunately, he doesn't know that. Well, he knows. Like any other creature that Oscar plays here is just going to get paired up in haste as well.
Yep. Oscar looks.
Nope, that's what he's got. He's got the Righteous Blow, but he's not going to.
Yeah.
Not going to do it.
So 2 mana. It's a creature. Pair them up. Haste.
I might as well give him trample too. Let's play another creature. +1/+1.
And then 2 more mana. Just checking. Is it another creature? Is it another human? It's another creature. Make it bigger. Oh, Soren Larsen, great effort. You've given us some fantastic entertainment. In come the boys.
Let's see, so
There is a lot of hand running through hair
back block
in that
there,
shot.
Shoot there. Yeah, he's got dead on board, unfortunately. Man, that's a really good start. Like Lightning Mauler and Catching Malcontents as
that's just
2/3
crazy.
on the play is really, really good.
Yep. So, I'm going to Righteous Blow that away. I'm going to block there. Currently, I'm going to take 3. There's the handshake. And we're done in the semi-finals. And Oscar Almgren from Sweden advances to the final.
I do like that Soren made him pump and made him like at that. Didn't just,
Yep.
just saw it to the end of set. Or to the end of combat.
Yep. Carried out on your shield. And there you see it. Oscar Almgren with his black-red aggro that really was aggro in Game 3 when it counted, will face the blue-green-red mid-range of Matteo Vasari. Now, we've not seen Matteo Vasari